Welcome to the Powerlifting and Power Ballads podcast, where we bring you a weekly dose of powerlifting news, tips, and training advice with a touch of 80s rock ballads. This podcast is presented by Team Rohr Powerlifting, your source of the most comprehensive coaching and meet day preparation. Here are your hosts, Josh Rohr and Laura Sturm.
Welcome to episode 143, Powerlifting and Power Ballads podcast.
Hey.
Hi, Josh Rohr.
Hey, Laura Sturm.
This is weird, and we have a guest.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, Wade Johnson.
Hey, Laura.
All right. Well,
Josh, all the way over there.
howdy. So we're recording on location from the Team Rohr training weekend. We're at the Sturm farm, and we are recording during Saturday after training, after seeing the waterfall. And it came to my attention that Wade is a fan of 80s music.
Yeah, I was part of that. I grew up and played music, touring and writing music in the 80s and 90s. So I'm a product of that era.
Okay. Well, I dig that.
Warms my heart.
It warms my heart. So this is very vague, generic. Favorite 80s song of all time?
Oh, my God.
I mean, it should
Not
be...
putting you on the spot at all.
Well, I tell you, I think as opposed to a favorite, it would be something that, maybe some of the one-hit wonders. I really liked, I can't think of the name of the band. You Don't Want Me Anymore. I cannot think of the name of the band now. It just escapes me.
Well, you submitted when we did the top,
I
the
remember.
one-hit wonders, you submitted a list. So
That was like now you want to see me nerd out. Like Too Shy from Kajagoogoo is a band from Australia that a lot of people don't know or recall. I just did this in the gym the other day. Lamal, the lead singer, is the one that sang the title track of The Never-Ending Story. That song is the lead singer from Kajagoogoo. See?
Yeah, I got nothing there.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's awesome. So I just thought of something. I have an apology I have to announce. I forgot. I said I would do this. So last time, Laura, we were talking about the meet where they had assigned warm-up platforms. And I was called out for pointing out the one thing from the meet that didn't go perfectly, and by the meet director, which I'll just mention her name, Elizabeth Turner. And she was not wrong on that. And it didn't occur to me that that's how it would come off. But as soon as I thought about it from a meet director perspective, I'm like, damn it. Of course, what doesn't go perfectly is what people are talking about. So I genuinely want to say sorry for pointing that out. Like, she does a great job. And it wasn't my intention to, I guess, harp on the negative. And I don't even think it was a negative. It's just, I don't like assigning warm-up platforms. It was the only thing I was trying to say. And that's my opinion, and nobody should really care what I think. I think in the big picture.
So you didn't point out all the awesome things at the meet.
Yeah. So, I wasn't there, so I didn't see all the awesome, but the live stream was top notch. I thought that was really cool. The setup was pretty cool. They did it at Meadow Creek High School, so they had a lot of layout. They obviously had, for the primetime session, they had 6 warm-up platforms, full competition racks, kilos, everything for one platform. So, that in itself is, regardless of whether it's assigned or not, that is, you can't, what do you want? What more do you want, I guess?
True.
All I'm saying is I'm a fan of Elizabeth Turner's meets. I'm sorry I gave the wrong impression there. I also appreciate you calling me on it. Really.
Yeah.
Do better.
So the name of the band is Steel Breeze.
Steel
Breeze. So here's what's interesting. People in this era, forget about the early days of MTV, where all they did was play music videos. We literally, like senior in high school, freshman in college, we would literally sit for hours. And that was one of the bands that had a lot of play at the time. Mm-hmm. See?
I remember those days.
Full nerd, I told you.
We had a satellite dish in our backyard, and we had MTV, and I was there when it got turned on, and I saw that first video. And I was a big fan of MTV. I used to skip school and watch MTV all day.
What was the first video?
Video Killed a Radio Star.
And what was the name of the band?
I can't remember that one. If you told me, I'd know it.
Was it Bow Wow Wow?
No, we'll have to look that up. But yeah, back in the day when they actually played music videos, they don't really do that much anymore. And we used to write to get little buttons. You could write MTV and they'd send you a button. And I had my denim jacket, buttons everywhere.
See?
Because that was
Nice.
cool.
So this is Saturday. We are exactly, as we're recording, this will come out on Wednesday, but as we're recording, we're exactly 2 weeks out from Equip Nationals. So we're getting kind of last tune-up heavy sessions in. And I guess we announced that you're coaching with us now, Wade, but I don't think we ever said more beyond that. So welcome to the team.
I appreciate the opportunity. I think what people may not know is, there's a long history between you and I that we go way back, and we've helped each other in the past. And the past couple of Arnolds I've helped with the team, and we've consulted and things like that. So this isn't something where it just, hey, what about Wade?
Yeah.
This is something we've talked about it a couple of times, like, would this be a fit? And how we would do it, because, the caveat here is I have my own service and my own gym,
Right.
but we seem to, we're managing that. And I think so far, so good.
Yeah, agreed. Outside of the peanut gallery trying to make us laugh as we're recording, we're recording on location. So our backdrop is actually our sleeping quarters right now. The barn in the background.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had to sit up, even if this is a bad visual, because I was like, I can feel this chair starting to get, it's not, this thing's not going to live through this.
It's okay.
If I don't sit
That's
high in
good.
the saddle, it's going to get ugly.
That's good situational awareness. So we're 2 weeks out. You're actually going to be coaching at Southeast Regionals during Equip Nationals.
Right. You had asked me if I was going to be able to come, and I have a client that's already obligated, and I think it turns out there's going to be some other people to handle.
Yeah.
So, I need to fulfill that obligation, but, boy, I certainly would like to be there.
Yeah.
I really would.
It's a fun meet. It's going to be an interesting challenge because it's going to be 3 platforms of Equip lifters, and it's going to be very hard to manage.
It's one thing to have 3 platforms running at the same time, and your lifters are unequipped.
Yeah.
When you're on your knees rapping and then, throwing it. Well, it's not unlike the situation we had at the Arnold. There was several times you didn't even see the lift. You had a handler that as soon as you got done rapping, we put the straps up and out we went.
Yeah, they were all lined up, and we just went knee to knee rapping. But yeah, so this weekend, this is the second year that we've done this, the training camp, and I think I like it.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's fun. It's a chance to hang out with everybody outside the gym, and I think that's one of the highlights for me, at least, is hanging out with everybody after the meet. So being able to do this outside of a meet setting where it's nice.
Well, and we're remote enough that people can't really just go off and do their own thing, because we are
in the middle of nowhere.
Where I live is kind of in the middle of nowhere. So you got to
think-
want to be here.
Yeah.
And then when you're here,
intentional.
you're probably not going to go much of anywhere until you go to leave.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, it's nice to kind of put the bubble around the team and get everyone in one place and crack up and do funny things, silly things like we do. There'll be karaoke later, right?
Yeah, we're definitely setting up karaoke a little bit later.
Got to have that. And then tubing tomorrow, hopefully.
Yeah, it'll be a good time. So, Wade, is there anything you want to
Well, I tell you, I came into this. I wanted to be open minded. It's not unlike my involvement with the organization. I would somewhat say I'm still kind of a new kid on the block, even though I've been very involved. And so being able to work with not just the people that have been assigned to me, but to be working like with Amy, working with everybody and letting them ask questions, and you and I having discussions. It's one of those things that this is something that is such a different dynamic versus a meet, because we're on a time crunch. We have to get this and we're looking for a result, where now the focal point is helping the lifter. We're looking for a meet type performance, but it's still a gym type atmosphere. And so what I've enjoyed is working with everybody, even the people that I don't coach per se, and then the conversations like you and I've had earlier, things that we would never get the opportunity to discuss at a meet or even in a business Zoom call because we're talking about business.
Right.
So those are the neat things. And then just being able to spend time with everybody has been a really good thing.
Can't green beans.
I did not realize it was that big.
Yeah. So
Wait,
I,
but the people that are listening, they're like, what are you talking about right now?
I just threw you a beach ball, Laura.
Oh, that's what she said.
See?
yeah, wow. Bump set spike, guys. Good job. So the I was just handed a giant can of green beans because basically I do all the grocery shopping at Sam's Club. Last year the green beans came in this giant can. What is this? A 2.9 kilo.
101 ounce. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I love
Oh.
green beans, but I didn't realize it was this big when I ordered it. Anyway, that was the joke last year, is like giant can of green beans. Well, I ordered it again this year because I do want green beans, but this is literally like the only size they have. So there's this giant, 7-pound can of green beans that we haven't even opened yet, and it's Saturday night.
Oh,
So
we should
we
open
got,
that.
We got some making up to do, and this is basically who is this? Del Monte quality family cut green beans. They're our first sponsor of the podcast.
This is the stuff that I remember. This is the little time that we get to spend together that's not really lifting related, but I remember the green beans.
Yeah.
And, various karaoke things and trucks backfiring in the background. It's great.
Yeah.
So it's like the little stuff like that. So we said something about a new lifter tip at the beginning when we were chit-chatting before the podcast. And I was actually thinking what I would tell someone to do is to find a team and lift within a team if you can, because it's a great experience and it's great getting to know the other athletes. I think it is nice not lifting by yourself very often. And I think, especially when you're lifting with other people that are better than you, it brings that level up. So that would be my lifter tip.
I like it.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said for that. Like the environment here, the environment at home, it's such a supportive environment, and you have lots of eyes. We're very fortunate as well at our gym. We have several world champions, so you get a lot of good perspective. And so I think that the team atmosphere is, I think, probably your training partners are your biggest asset in your strength career.
Yeah, and I think it's good to see how hard other people are working, and also how hard other people are getting coached, because some people take things personally if they're just not aware of, like, how serious this, you can take it as serious as you want, but if you're really trying to get to that next level, like, sometimes it takes a pretty intense, deliberate, conscious effort on the coach's side and the lifter side to make a decision like, hey, this is what I'm going to put everything into this. And that's one thing I've noticed. I'm not going to mention names, but, like, there were times this weekend so far, like, I got on somebody a little bit, you got on somebody a little bit, and some of them, they kind of had to step back for a second and be like, whoa. But then they see that with somebody else that's been at that high level interaction the same way, so it's like, oh, okay, this is what it's about. And everybody, you see that switch kind of flip a little bit, where it's like, all right, I'm in, like, let's roll.
I use this analogy today. If the three of us went to Walmart and we bought a rod and reel, can of worms, and some tackle, we can bait our hooks. We're throwing those hooks in the water. We're probably catching fish. We're fishermen. If we buy a basketball and a hoop and we shoot hoops, we're playing basketball. This is not something where I can go, hey guys, why don't we Saturday go deadlift 600 pounds at this powerlifting meet? It's not a recreational thing where you can go, let's buy a badminton set and we're playing badminton.
Yeah.
So there's a level of commitment and involvement. And when you do that now, you want to be at the national or international level. That's not free. I'm not talking about paying your coach or paying your way. It requires a high level of commitment. And this is the premise of strength is very simple. the actuality of doing it and being good at it is really hard.
Yeah. Yeah. Strength takes time. I mean, you obviously have newbie gains, but like real strength takes time. And I think it makes me wonder how many people could have been all-time greats. Like there's been a lot of really talented lifters that are here and gone for whatever reason. And I wonder like how many people out there somewhere could have really been
Well,
somebody that
you
we're
see
talking
it all
about.
the time. I mean, you see people that come into the sport and they're here for a few years and whatever happens, but I think when you see someone that talented, you understand that those abilities and that talent and even the commitment level, while great, once you reach like a high level, it is one of the hardest things to sustain. And I don't necessarily have an answer for that, but one of the interesting things I listened to an interview from Dave Tate, and I used to be very much against the term auto-regulation, and he said something that made a lot of sense to me, where as young athletes that have the ability to be elite, we work ourselves senseless, like we're climbing the mountain, climbing the mountain, climbing the mountain. And then when we get there, we think to maintain that or improve that we have to work even harder. And what happens more times than not is we take ourselves out of the game due to injury. Usually an injury at that level is catastrophic.
Yeah.
Game changing, where, I was a contender, now I'm a used to be. And we're all an injury away from that happening. And so he said something that I thought made sense. He goes, with auto-regulation, you have to train to maintain and hone your skill, because the steepness of the mountain is at its steepest at the peak. It's also when it's its most dangerous. And so that,
That's
I think that's something that lends to what you say. I mean, it's, for every Jennifer Thompson who's still going strong, we could probably take a few minutes and we'd find 10 people that had immense talent, and then poof, they're gone.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably, again, that's one of the things that makes it such a difficult endeavor. It's one thing to get there, but to do it over and over, and maintain that level, is astronomically difficult.
So we did a powerlifting situation a few weeks ago. We'll just kind of go back to it. One of the questions, I think the question was, and I'm paraphrasing because I don't remember off the top of my head, but it was, would you rather add 20 kilos to your total every year for 20 years?
Right. Or there
Or
was the other situation was you add a whole bunch in a short amount of time, but then you can never lift again.
yeah, you get injured and you're done.
Right.
And the short term, you end up totaling a little bit more. The other one took 20 years, and it was actually a pretty even split. Like there were people willing to go in, uh, be a flash in the pan, do really well, knowing they're going to get hurt and be done. And there were other people that like, no, it's, because the other side of it was the 20 year, maybe it wasn't 20 years, 10 years, maybe it was 10 years. But at the end of the 10 years, there's no fine print that you're going to be hurt and done. Like the assumption is that you continue to improve. And I think that was the thing. Like nobody thought beyond that. Everybody's like, well, this clearly says that my total will be, higher this way by 10 kilos overall. And I thought that was very interesting because like that just kind of shows you how fast track everybody thinks. Like they want to go from point A to point B like now, forgetting that there's a point C, point D down the road.
Interestingly enough, I was having this discussion today. We all, when we set our goals, we have, like, if you use like a dry erase board, I do this in the gym all the time. We have a point A, our start, our beginning. It's usually in the lower left-hand corner of that board. And B is where we want to end up. And that typically is in the top right-hand corner of that board. And we draw a straight line. And that's the path that we think, if we do all the things, we work hard, do all the things we're supposed to do, then that's how it's going to work. And that does not even exist in fairyland.
Yeah.
So there is ebb and flow. And I like having that straight line because it shows easily where the ebb and flow is. And you realize when somebody, it's one thing to have talent and promise, but when you see someone that has grit and determination and is committed, I always tell people, everybody loves to train and do hard things when things are flowing.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying you have to face, a lot of difficulty, trials and tribulations to become a champion, but it's going to be part of the process. Nobody escapes it. It's like being married. There's going to be times where you may not like that other person, but you're committed and you love them. And if you're going to go through something crazy, that's the person, that you've chosen to do that. So when you look at that graph and it's flowing and you're doing well, but you see that person where you can point an arrow to that spot on the graph where it ebbs, that's where your champions are built. That's the person that's going to keep showing up. Because I tell people all the time, and you probably heard me say this today, don't get married to the number. Get married to your consistency. The numbers will come.
We're a very outcome-driven society.
Well, and in a lot of situations, justifiably so. But this is also a marathon. It's not a sprint. I've had people come to me and go, I want a total elite in 2 years.
Yeah, so do I.
Yeah. Best of luck. How far away are you? About 300 pounds. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I mean the sad part is I think there are people out there that are saying that the right coach will get you there in that amount of time, and that's a fairy tale that people hear and they just don't understand. Like that's not how it works.
No,
and if it does, chances are like you're right on that verge of something breaking.
Well, or you're a 1%er.
Yeah, correct.
Those outliers are out there where you see somebody in their first meet after a year of training total elite. It does happen.
It does, but that's not the norm.
No, and it's not the norm for people that are good and work hard and have talent.
Right. Exactly.
I wouldn't want to trade my time.
Yeah.
I mean, if you'd have told me that in 3 years I could have done all the things that I had done, would I trade that for the 30 years that I've been involved in string sports? With all the other,
And that's one of the things that came up a lot was, that's also not taking into account the experiences, the relationships. All you're looking at is the total, and the number of years and all that other stuff doesn't matter. And I think, for maybe people that haven't experienced that, they don't realize, like I would say 90% of my friends are some of my best friends from powerlifting.
Sure.
Right.
And that's the reality of it, I guess. I mean, and to trade that out, like
I would not be willing to.
Yeah,
I would trade, a nationals or a world champion for my time.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the process is where the magic is, right? It's not the journey. I know it's kind of like a Miley Cyrus song and all that. Like the journey. You don't know the Miley Cyrus?
I'm not familiar.
Oh my God. This is what we do all the time on this podcast.
Yeah, I'm not a Miley fan either.
Oh, come on. But the song, you know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't.
Oh,
Sing it.
No, I'm not going to. No, I just make a pop culture reference and Josh never gets it. That's the thing. That's the thing that bothers me. It's the journey. It's the process. It's not the outcome. But we focus a lot on the outcome, the outcome, the outcome. And it's really about the process, about the people you meet along the way, the experiences you have, the bombing at Worlds. That's that types of thing is what makes a person, and that's the memories. It's not the pleasant memories all the time, but that's the stuff that builds. I hate that character building part because nobody likes character building because it's not fun at the time. But that's the stuff that makes it sticks out. It makes things worthwhile.
And also, that's probably where you come out on the other side.
Right. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Different perspective, different, approach, different, people. I mean, in some cases, like, you kind of find out, like, when shit goes bad.
Right.
Like,
you find out
who's the ride or dies with you,
Yeah.
And that sometimes that changes everything too.
Yep.
I'm missing your voice, Wade. I'm not gonna lie. You got a podcast voice.
I hate to, because a lot of times I'll start talking and it just goes on and on.
It's soothing, though.
So
I'm telling you.
I got a great story for you.
I like stories.
And I don't want it to come across as sappy, but
I'm not. Okay,
also,
can I say it? I actually, I've been very sentimental recently. Watching like or looking at a picture. Google has like timeline
yes,
recap. My newborn daughter,
yes,
then versus now,
yes.
9 months difference.
Isn't it staggering?
Holy cow!
Well,
I'm like
interesting.
crying my eyes out.
Interesting you bring that up. Two things, and I'll tell this is a conversation.
What I was gonna say is I'm for the sappy story.
You and I had a conversation right when your daughter was born, and I told you, I said, everybody will tell you that your life changes. They don't tell you that the changes are dramatic in their greatness. We always go, how am I going to afford it? How am I going to, there's no handbook for this. That's not what I'm talking about. When you meet the real love of your life, which is your daughter, literally the way the eyes that you have and the way those eyes see the world immediately changes.
Yeah.
Your perspective on almost everything is different, to the point like you would see sappy commercials on TV and you would blow it off.
Yeah.
When your daughter is 9, I want you to remember this conversation, and if I'm alive, you text me, because it will literally, when my son was born and as he became older, you would see these things. It would just punch you right in the heart.
Yeah.
So the way you see things now dramatically changes. So that's always an interesting thing. And this is just 9 months.
Yeah.
Wait until 9 years.
Yeah, I'm like a wreck already. I'm just like, man, I don't know.
I was up in the attic to get the sleeping gear for the going in the barn, and I saw my son's shoes that he put up there the night before he left for North Dakota, and I just saw his shoes, and I was just like, oh, I can't believe he lives in North Dakota.
Well,
yeah.
let me put to you like this. In January, my son and his wife, who just had their 10-year anniversary, they moved to Glendale, Arizona, right outside of Phoenix. And I drove out to where they were leaving from. It was March 1st. And I couldn't breathe. Now, he's in his mid-30s. I couldn't breathe. I literally cried the entire drive home. I get off the plane. I'm so excited to see him. I want to see his house, see his dog, and all this kind of stuff. And he pulls up in the truck. He jumps out. Just like the day he was born. I just started squalling.
Yeah.
So that's how it hits you. But I wanted to share a quick story with you. Because you talk about when people, train in the coaching, and sometimes you have to have hard coaching and the back and forth is heated. And I have a young lady, I won't mention her name. She knows who she is if she hears this.
Which she won't, because nobody listens to this.
Yeah, you'd be surprised. She had a frustrating beginning. And in powerlift, she was not going to ever be an athlete. But she tried powerlifting, and with that powerlifting, she found some purpose and some direction. Very great student, and had a goal. And so I told her, I said, let me explain to you the greatness that you're displaying, because it's not your number. It's not whatever your PR squad is or that you won at state this year. You get up, you're a teenager, and your brother trains here and you guys drive separately. You get up, you're at my house at 5 a.m. in the morning. This is a high school student, a girl, trains, gets the same coaching that my world champions get, gets ready for school in my house, and then goes to school and makes straight A's. She gets a scholarship, and she's married, and she's a teacher in a couple of towns over. The thing is, if you are willing to do something to get stronger, to go through the commitment and the processes of doing this, something you obviously enjoy it. And in her senior paper, she wrote about, I'm a power lifter. And this is why this is important to me. The skill set that she acquired from being a power lifter makes her, when she's giving herself fully to becoming a teacher, made her unstoppable.
Yeah.
I make straight A's. I had a full-time job all the way through school. I'm married, and now I'm teaching kids to do the very thing that I loved to do when I was a kid.
Yeah.
How much more success do you need?
Yeah.
I mean, we can start talking dollar figures and everything, but she's happy.
Right.
So that to me is why something like an endeavor like powerlifting or music or whatever the case may be, but for us, what we know, the world we live in, because there's times I had to yell at her. There was times I was very firm with her.
Yeah. And did she leave and never come back, or did she kind of
to this point? Recently, and it's interesting, that we're having these conversations. She and I took a picture. It was like on her birthday or something. We're both making a muscle, and it came up in memories. And she goes, I did not realize how much I missed it. So she came by a couple of weeks ago and gave me a big hug. She lives far enough away. It's not easy to get, to the gym and come see us. And she goes, until I left, I did not realize how much I needed to be there.
Yeah.
It was just for a visit. Those are the things. And this, to reel all this in and cycle back to what we've been talking about, those are the things that I'm happy and proud of, the things that I've been able to achieve, but I would never give up the time that it took to cultivate a relationship with a young lady, that the sense of empowerment that she got, not because she's a girl, but because she was coloring outside the lines of her comfort zone, that allowed her to become very precise with where she was comfortable, where her real endeavors, where her real passion was. That gave her footing, and I think those are the things that I would never be willing to give up.
Well said.
Yep. Beautifully said in a very soothing voice.
Yes.
So, I don't really have anything else. Wade, I appreciate coming on to help coach, driving down from Nashville to,
Well, I thought this was important. Here's the thing. You've got a history in business where some things have been difficult or haven't gone your way, and you didn't think you had the relationship that you were supposed to have. And you've had moments of greatness as well. This is still new. Some of the people don't really know me. They're meeting me for the first time. And so
I wish I could remember the very first time I met you, what my first impressions were. I wish I could remember.
I'm sure.
Sorry.
Do you remember where that was?
I have no idea. That's the thing. Like, we've known each other long enough. Like, I don't remember that far back.
No, I don't either. I when you look back, I mean, it's been
a minute.
It's been a while. Well, like we're talking about Sherman. I knew Sherman when he had hair.
It's been a minute.
I haven't known him that long. Yeah, it's been a minute. Anyway,
but it was.
Sorry, I derailed you.
No, it was important, I think, for me to be here. Like the challenge for Laura and I is she's in Singapore. It's hard for me to have, as an example, I have a rapport in a personal relationship with Joe House. So that moment that we had at the Arnold, one is because of that personal relationship, I got in his ass pretty hard.
Right. And you kind of knew, so you don't do that at a meet unless you know what the result's going to be.
Well, there are times where there's risk and it's a gamble. You're rolling the dice. I could hurt this guy's feelings.
Yeah.
Or in this case, I knew he was tired, but as soon as he saw someone have confidence in him,
yeah,
like, hey, we're not, this is bull, and I let him have it.
Yeah. And
when he came back in, what was interesting was not his response when I'm in it, just digging in his ass, was he was almost giddy when he came back in after the meet was over.
Yeah.
That makes everything, all of a sudden, it was never about, well, Wade got on Joe pretty hard. We found that in a moment how to motivate somebody for a moment of greatness.
Yeah.
And you have to cultivate that rapport. I've known Laura where we've spoken for maybe 8 weeks. And it's been kind of bumpy because she lives on the other side of the planet. Well, it's a whole different, it's one thing to look at the bull and the bull is on TV or it's on a video or it's on the other side of the fence a half a mile away. Well, now he's standing there. Now what? So she got to see the intensity of the things that I was saying in a Facebook message. After this weekend, when she sees me type out certain things, she will hear in her head how I spoke to her, how she was supported, how she was being pushed. And, when it's like, why don't you believe in you as much as I do? What about that? Mm. And so I think those are the things that make something like, I'm not a big rah-rah team thing at work, like let's do but stuff like this is what we do. And again, I think when they see two coaches that are respected and they're working together, because you see what the goal is here is not that you and I are good, great coaches, is are we helping the lifter achieve their goals, and are we pushing them into the heights that they're supposed to be pushed? There's a lot of people that lifted today that you and I both said it's still ahead of them.
Yeah, I agree. And those people don't know it's ahead of them yet. And that's kind of our job. Like, we got to show them what they truly are capable of and what they are going to do if they continue down this path. Anyway, what music do you play? We'll wrap it up. I want to know what gets played at the Ogre Compound. I'm not trying to pivot here too much, but
I really like, in my day of training, I liked musicians. Today's music, there's a few people out there that kind of grab at me, where I'm going, hey, this is somebody to listen to. A lot of stuff like rap gets played, okay. And I'm like, that's not. Look,
so you don't take control of it. You let the.
Sometimes I do. Sometimes, but they're the ones in that situation, because they're the ones that are training for something. Whatever it is that's going to motivate them, I don't care what it is.
Yeah.
But for me, I was like a big Pantera. Well, because, I've seen those bands. I've also played that type of music. Something I'm all about. My gym is red and yellow, bright red, bright yellow. And I chose those colors. Believe it or not, I actually researched it. What is going to create aggression? Because aggression for me as a coach is like clay, where if you're subdued, I got nothing to work with.
Yeah.
And so the color of my bedroom is dark purple. Again, I did some research. What is soothing? What is going to put me at ease? What is going to make me relax?
I'm not going to lie. I wasn't sure where that was going to go.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I was quick to explain. I could see the look like, man, what's this? He's going to say something I'm going to have to edit. I'm getting concerned.
It was actually the opposite. I'm like, this sounds like it's about to be very interesting.
Juicy.
No, but you wouldn't think that would be something that I would research, but these are the little devil in the detail things that I try to pay attention to, because when I have someone that is energetic, and even if I have to kind of let's use Jennifer Milliken. I will assure you that she and I have butted heads in the gym. Everybody sees the result of the big meets and stuff, but belts get thrown, tears are shed, and there's sometimes voices get raised.
I've been cussed out by lifters.
Yeah,
like literally cussed out by lifters. Like,
I'll tell you a great story. I coached Melissa Garrett Kylo, and this has been some time ago. 2004, 5, 6, in that area. It was in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Melissa was the third woman in the history of the sport to bench over 500 in a bench shirt. It is a big milestone. In the gym, Melissa's like 6'3", 6'4", and a big woman, well over 300 pounds. This was a big human being. She whipped a man's ass. I mean, I'm just telling you. Now, this may also come as a surprise. I'm a pretty intense guy. 20 years ago, it was worse. I said something to her that pissed her off, just so you understand, and she took a step at me like she was going to grab me, and I told her, one more step and I'll drop your big ass in the floor. She looked at me like she squared up like she was going to. However, I love her dearly. Here's the thing that has never been said about Melissa publicly. Being a big woman creates challenges. some of the things that people would say to her online, it's one thing to be off color and out of line, and I'm not saying that that's okay, but ugly, mean. And the only way I knew to help her was to push her to the levels that she went. She squatted 700 pounds in a full meet, you know. She hit the biggest total in the United States the same year that she won the Women's Strongwoman Nationals. You know, these are not easy feats. And what we were able to do together and what she was able to achieve met her husband at a meet that I got to coach. So I dearly love them, and they moved away. They have a farm, and they raise goats and chickens and pigs, and they're loving their life. And so getting to do those things, you know, but is a great thing. But the reason I'm bringing that up is there were some very intense moments. But sometimes greatness, you know, it requires that, and then you got to have the ability to go, all right, we're going to put that in check because our relationship and what we're trying to get done is this important. So, you know, I'm not sure that, you know, that's appropriate, because I will tell you 20 years ago, had she taken another step, I'd have punched her, because she'd have whipped my ass otherwise. She wasn't going to whip my ass. So, but I've seen her pick up a man like a bag of potatoes. I sweep him right off his feet. I'm not letting anybody that has that kind of strength punch me.
Probably a smart move. Anyway, that's all I got. How about anybody else?
Yeah, I think we're getting motions over there that food's ready.
Food's
We need
ready.
to go eat it. So,
And thank you. I mean, you know, the hospitality, opening up, you know, your entire house and cooking and you know, making sure we're doing and being where we need to be is big. I mean, I'm super appreciative of it. And I think everybody else is too.
this is how I get to stay part of Team Rohr. But I really love this. So I would do it again in a heartbeat, and hopefully we'll do it again next year.
Yeah, that's the plan. Well, thank you guys for listening. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at PL Ballads Podcast. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, shoot us an email at plballadspodcast@gmail.com. Until next week, we'll catch you all later.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed today's episode of the Powerlifting and Power Ballads podcast, please remember to subscribe and share it with your friends.